Here, the Kansas City Chiefs have their first look at an initial 53-man roster. Couple of surprises today came down. I wanted to give you a live reaction. Hope you guys are doing well out there in Chiefs Kingdom. We're going to get into it. If you want to check out any of your daily fantasy or sportsbook this year, make sure you check out DraftKings and use our code RGR21. You want to check that. Lots of little things here. There is a lot of churn. Unlike most years, they're going to make multiple moves here in the next few days in terms of waiver claims of guys that they put on and then take off. We expect that Blake Bell is going to go to IR. And that's one of the things that is one of those dominoes we're waiting to fall because it lets all the other maneuvers come on behind it. So I hope you guys are doing well. Had a little technical difficulty getting on here today, but I'd like to see all of you guys in here. Mo's in here and Brandon, Joseph, Apocalypse is here. And he's got a question. We'll get to him in just a second. Not going to go super long tonight as we have a bunch of things going on as we try to break this down for you. You can check out more on Locked On Chiefs as well as NFL33.com. We'll have some more over there for you. Now, what stood out to me was, yes, Blake Bell, they want to get him on. They're going to move him off. So there's automatically some churn there. They kept 3 quarterbacks. Completely, I think, a move to be on the defensive so that they didn't get Michelle taken off and not be able to get him onto the practice squad. He was up a couple times last year, and he did have some interest around the league. So I think that was kind of Brett Veach playing patty cake, playing defense to make sure that they keep him. I think he will eventually go down to the practice squad when push comes to shove. Carrying 2 backup quarterbacks on game day is something that they don't like to do. I'm a little surprised by it, but I can understand the way that Bouchel played. I still don't think he's anywhere close to being better than Henny in terms of operating the offense, but they like the progress that he made, and I can't argue with that. So if you see a guy that's still on the upward trend, you got to give him a chance, and I think they did that by keeping him around. So we'll see what happens there. The next big thing that came down is that Daurice Fountain is not on the roster currently. I do expect that there will be a 6th receiver eventually. I think that might be a day or 2 away because of the other moves that they're going to make, IR in particular. And so that's what brings us to where they're at. I think Daurice could come back. He could end up on the practice squad and be elevated. He could find work elsewhere. That's the problem with this is a veteran like Daurice Fountain, like Danny Shelton, who was let go as well. They both want to be in Kansas City and they've wanted to, but they're both able to go out and check out other teams, and they may field some other offers. I think there's a difference in protecting a potential quarterback that you like versus protecting a wide receiver or a defensive tackle. I think that it's just not as much risk, and I think these moves were really about thwarting any risk that they perceive to what they want to do this season. So a couple of other things. Really sad to see Matt Bushman. For all intents and purposes, the way that this works, because he was waived with an injury designation, if he clears waivers, which he very may well do, most of the time no one's going to take a risk on claiming a tight end that's got a broken clavicle. It will end his season effectively. They could do a release within settlement later and try to bring him back. There's a lot of moving parts there. And I think there's some penalty involved in terms of the financial part of doing that. So I'm not sure that's going to happen. We might have seen the last of what Matt Bushman's going to do this year. I hope that he gets a chance next year. I see you guys have some questions about some of the other guys that have been let go. We'll get to that here in a second. I continue to be surprised that they've made moves, and in Brett Veach's defense, he's not afraid to backtrack on him or say, I tried something, it didn't work. I think Jermaine Carter is one of those moves. I think he tried to get a guy that he felt could not only play special team snaps for him, but could play on the defensive side of the ball, and it just didn't work out. So rather than continue to stick with a bad decision, unlike another linebacker that was on this roster for a while, I think he cut ties and did that pretty well. So Leo Chanel in there. I know he got to start with the ones in the final preseason game. I think that's fine. He is in line to be the Sam right now because Darius Harris, who they have played before and they do like, he's really meant to be the backup Mike, not out there on the edge. Can he do it? Yes, but I didn't see him do it much. And I did like how much they were putting on him to up his game, to take it to that next level, especially when they wanted to run some of the Tampa 2 stuff where you have split safeties and you're trying to get that middle corridor run by a linebacker rather than a safety, which is what they've had Tyrann Mathieu do the last few years. So I think that probably, if anything stood out to me on film, it was that that got him onto the roster. So that's a plus for him. Now I see some more questions about here. We'll get to that in a second. I was disappointed that Lammons made it over Boodle, but when you decide you can't keep Fountain because of the other things on offense, that made Lammons indispensable because you have to have one of your primary gunners, and it was Fountain and Lammons. So that made it pretty simple. I think that's probably going to stick. I like Boodle. I expect him to be back on the practice squad. I do think that he still has a lot of upside to him, and I think he'll be there. Now, as far as the Chiefs going out and making more acquisitions, there's more here, like what they decided to do with the offensive line, where they have one interior backup player and 3 tackles that I don't think can play in the NFL well enough to protect Patrick Mahomes. That's dangerous. I expect churn there in the next couple of days. Leatherwood is a guy, and I know a number of you guys said it. I'm just not going to put everybody up who brought up the same topic. But Leatherwood, I think he's worth bringing in. I don't think I'd claim him because of the contract. He was a first-round pick, so I wouldn't claim that contract. But I would consider bringing him in. Is he better than Jaron Christian at the tackle position? Possibly. Is he better than Darian Kennard at the tackle position? I think so. He is right now anyway. I like a move. You guys have heard me say it for Kennard inside the guard. I think that's in the future. Now, Leatherwood can do that too, but there's really no reason to. Your starters are there for the next 2 seasons at a very minimum. And then if you have Allegretti and Kennard at guard, your backups are there. So I don't think that if they did go out and either bring in Leatherwood one way or the other, I think it would be for the tackle spot to provide some depth there. I think that's fine. I don't know that he comes in and starts over Wiley, but I think that's okay. Any attempt you can make that fits under the cap, that can bolster the offensive tackle position, I think you have to do right now. So I'm perfectly fine with that. Thanks for the question, though, Fly. Appreciate you. Info, I know it's early, but any reasons intrigue you, like Tyler Johnson, better than Fountain? That's fair. Sony Michel, Philip Lindsay, upgrades over Rojo. I think Rojo has trade value. I think that's what they found. I think they found some lukewarm interest, and by letting him go, they get nothing for it, and they figured, hey, we're going to let a little bit more of attrition go. Maybe this makes it to the week after the Chargers. You won't see any change, I don't think, between the first preseason game and first regular season game and the second because it's so close. But after the Chargers game, you could see a trade come down. You could see it the next week too. This extra time before regular season number 1, I think that allows you to make a move. I do think that there's something there. Sony Michel, I see more of a backup for McKinnon than I do for Rojo. So I think there's more of a fit there. I would be into it. I think it's worth taking a look. I don't know there's any reason to say no right now. Why didn't we get in on the LaVisca trade? Because you have Sky Moore and McCole Hardman. They're going to take those jet option things. They're going to do the underneath work. I don't think they had enough interest in there. And again, you have a contract that you have to live up to it's probably more expensive than the rookie contract Sky's on. So I don't think they were going to go there. Maybe they did make an inquiry and it just didn't work out, but I don't think they were going to go hard on that. Mo, I'm happy we didn't keep Carter because he is slow on our defense. I agree. And that was, in the end, I think the thing that cost him the roster spot is that he just wasn't able to keep up with the younger, faster guys on here. It's pretty straightforward. You got to be able to run. And if you're going to make up time or make up prowess for this particular defense, you got to do it with athleticism and speed. At the end of the day, the AFC West is coming for you, and you got to have the speed to keep up on all levels. And there are a couple of good tight ends in this thing here too. So it is what it is. We're going to get there. I'm trying to see what else you guys have. I'll get the next couple, and we're not going to go too long, you guys, because I have a sporting event I have to go coach tonight. So we're going to go do that. It took Elijah Lee's tweet that he's going back to the Chiefs. What do you say? I believe that's true. I think this was, again, part of that. We got to get the initial, and then we can make some moves. You only went 4 defensive tackles. That kind of surprised me a little bit. But clearly, as I was saying last week, Stallworth was nowhere close to Saunders or Wharton. I'm a little surprised about Shelton. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to get him back or get him onto the practice squad at some point. In the end, he chose to come to Kansas City, and I think he just wasn't able to get in playing shape. Maybe they want a little bit more of that out of him. Matt Derrick had some thoughts on that as well. The Locked On Chiefs show went up, I don't know, half an hour ago or whatever. Go check out Matt's thoughts on that too, because he had some interesting points. I do think Elijah comes back. It's about who do they set down, because right now, I think you're going to move one of those tackles out. I think you're going to move a running back out, and I think eventually you're going to send one of the quarterbacks down to the practice squad, but you got to let it all fall out first. You know what I mean? So it might take a little bit. And I think Elijah was at the practice facility today. That usually means they're intending on signing you back to the practice squad. So I do think he will return. And in the end, I think that's good cushion for Chanel. You can play Chanel on early downs, let him attack the gaps in the run game, and let him attack the quarterback in the blitz game, and then let Elijah play in coverage. And I thought he played out pretty well this preseason at that. I know he's an older guy, but I think he did a decent job. Kellen Beach, the offensive tackle, was like, oh, he's pretty athletic. I didn't actually see him come down the wire, so that's good to know. King Chief, thank you. I believe he was a day 3 guy out of Arizona State. Yep. I was as well. I thought he had a lot of upside. I would like to see him at the very least get on the practice squad. They'll probably bring Austin Ryder back to the practice squad. I'd rather see Dice get that. So I'm with you there. Cutbirth, how are you doing? Do you think the Chiefs will be interested in Blanton from the Commanders who was released again? I do, but they're in the same problem. He has to go to waivers, and they are 30th in the waiver claim order. So just like last time, if somebody doesn't claim him first and he falls all the way, sure, I bet they put in a claim. I just don't know if that'll happen. So they just have to ride out the order and see if somebody picks before them. Trying to grab your questions, you guys, so we get all that done. I'm glad that Cole got it done. You guys are going to see something from us coming here down the pike this season. Be ready for that. I'd rather have Tyler Beatty than whatever we could get for Rojo. Tyler's free. I'd like to see him come in too, at least as a practice squad acquisition, and see what you can still trade for Rojo. Those things can be, separate. Again, it's the waiver claim position that I think the Chiefs are probably on the raw end of that, because I think some team that's higher is probably going to claim him. We'll know tomorrow afternoon, so keep an eye peeled. All right. Let's see. But good comment there, Chris. And Fox Pro, few surprises, but let's get it. I'm with you, buddy. Just got done watching Cole, and I have to say I really like both of your channels. Keep up the good work. Thanks, James. I appreciate that. Cole does good stuff too, man. And we come at it from different angles. I've coached and done the front office thing for a long time. And Cole's got the fan perspective, and honestly, he's a whole lot funnier than me. So plus, I've tried for about 20 years to grow this thing, and I just can't do what Cole does. Ready with this 53 tells me that the young players must have really impressed the coaches. I'm so excited to see us get rid of Frank next year. I think, and it's not specifically about Frank, but yes, that is coming. But I think it's also key that in this, they saw enough that they chose to keep 9 of their 10 draft picks. That's more than I had at any point this season. That whether I was optimistic or not, I think the most I thought at any point was like 8. So well done. And I think Najee could be back on the practice squad. So I think that that shows you that they hit their targets and they got what they wanted out of them. Maybe you answered this, but in the past, but a trade package that includes Tevin Jenkins and Roquan Smith for the Chiefs worth pursuing. I don't think so, because Roquan needs to get paid. That's part of the problem, is his contract broke down. And the Chiefs have Willie Gay that they're going to have to pay eventually, and Nick Bolton. There's not room for 3 of them. Chanel's going to be your third. I would say go after Jenkins by himself. Take Roquan out of it. Someone reported that they were going to put Bell on IR and bring Lee back. Yes, that's exactly it, Sean. Bell's going to have to go. Matt confirmed that today. That is what the Chiefs are going to do. Taco got released from the Saints today. What are your thoughts? Honestly, didn't impress me that much. Passanio maybe impressed me a little bit more. I don't know what the deal is with Taco. I am a little bit disappointed that Kando made it over Kamara. I hope he comes back to the practice squad, because I think maybe Kando had a better consistency, but Kamara's flashes were better in my opinion, and I think he's got more upside. So that's where I'm at. Yes, that Cole guy does have a nice beard, huh? And as you guys saw, we do things very differently, but thank you for watching us both, and we appreciate all of the help. Cole's going to 50K. I'm just trying to get to 40K this year. It's super easy, not a problem. Come help us out. Let's see. Robert, is our DB room better than last year's? Top to bottom, yes, I think it is. I am a little bit surprised that Watson was able to make the roster. I'm pleasantly surprised, because in the draft process, I was one of only a couple people that even had him as a draftable grade. Me and Rob Rang from CBS or Fox Sports now. That was it. If Rojo got traded, I like the idea of Marlon Mack. You could look at it. I haven't seen a whole lot of spring out of him lately, so who knows? So I was talking about my beard. Yeah, hey, man, your beard precedes you, my friend. That's just the way that it goes. Let's see. Any more questions? Got the taco one. Okay, so we're cool. So quick 15 minutes. I'm gonna go do the family thing and coach up, and we'll get to this more tomorrow. Dan's got breakdown for you tomorrow, and if anything happens, when it happens, I'll probably do a quick live like this again. So just be prepared. Have a good night. This isn't the final 53, but it is a first 53. So let's get after it. They have a lot more talent to bring in. Let's see what else they do. I hope you guys, if you would like, sub and hit the bell, become one of us and support the channel. Those likes go a long way. I would appreciate you. We'll talk to you.